back to the Haney Biz Project with host Mark Haney.
All right. Welcome back to the Haney Biz Project, brought to you courtesy of Sun System Technology. I'm Mark Haney, and I'm joined by the Assistant Chief of the California Highway Patrol, Jonni Fenner. How you doing, Jonni?
I'm doing really well.
Did I get your title correct?
You did, but I just want to clarify, I am one of several assistant chiefs for the California Highway Patrol because we're so large. So I'm not the. I'd like to be the, but I'm one of.
You have an important role. You're a woman who's worked her way up the ladder, and today we're talking about leadership. Let's talk about, under your command now, how many teammates do you have?
So just to give you context, we cover what's called our Valley Division, and that covers a very wide area. It includes San Joaquin County, Yolo County, Sacramento County, Placer County, Butte County, and so on. And so out of that, we have probably about 20 commands that fall under that, and so we probably have over 1,100 employees throughout that whole region. And I'm part of a team that oversees them.
Very humble. Well, we look forward to understanding that better because, leadership it is one of the things I think that trips us up a bit at times as we're building any kind of enterprise. But it can also be a difference maker, I think, as we end up striving for success. Let's talk about your launch into the law enforcement. You didn't grow up wanting to be a police officer. How did you get into this gig?
I'm going to have to say no, I did not, but this might be telling of my age as well, but I grew up on Chips.
Chips, the television show.
Yeah, absolutely loved the show. Thought hang gliding looked kind of cool. And so where do I sign up?
Yes.
And so I did. I signed up, but I was actually working in a clerical office as a typist clerk. And I didn't feel challenged. I didn't know what I really wanted to do with my life. I was taking some college classes, but didn't really have a clear focus. And so I decided to try the Highway Patrol. There was a big ad. It talked about the security that it would provide me because growing up with a single mother, I didn't have that. And so I was starting to kind of look to see what could I do that's something that would kind of take care of me. And really, that was all I did was I saw an ad. I wasn't recruited. I don't have family in law enforcement. And bam.
Weren't you nervous? So you're a typist. You're a typist clerk at the time, and now it's let's go catch some bad guys. This seems like a pretty big leap.
You would have to know me, Mark, back in the day. It wasn't that big of a leap.
Okay.
So I was an athlete. I played basketball, and because of the environment sometimes that I grew up in, we moved around a lot when I was young. You build a thick skin, you get tough, and you don't take a lot of mess. So I was ready.
So you started off in the trenches as a police officer?
Yes.
Okay, so talk to us about the beginning, and then how did you work your way up through the ranks?
Work in the field is really exciting, especially when you're young, because when I came on, I didn't have a very big vision of where I wanted to go or what that would even look like. So I think through the process, you meet people, right? I think people come into your life at different times for particular reasons. And so probably about my 10-year mark, I had been working the road. I worked down in Southern California in the Ontario, Rancho Cucamonga area. I ended up over in the Ventura area. I worked also over in the Hayward Bay area and then the Stockton area, which is in our valley. And so a lot of people think of Stockton and you're like, wow, that had to be really tough. They were tough in different ways all over because of our environment and the community in which you serve. It's very diverse. There's a lot of crime in some of the communities you work, and then there's other community things that become challenging as well. So it created growth in me as I was coming up for those 10 years. And then you bring in this piece about leadership and people that speak into your life and maybe plant seeds for you. And at the time, I didn't know what the seeds were that they were planting, whether I was getting an opportunity to work an assignment that I was like rolling my eyes thinking, I don't want to do this. But it was pushing me outside of my comfort zone. And so through that process, I began to see that, you know what, I do want to try this. And trying that was promoting the first time, which our first rank is sergeant. And I did that for a while, and I worked in our headquarters environment, which was pretty fantastic, over some programs that are statewide over our entire organization, which is 11,000 strong. And then I had an opportunity to take that back into the field and supervise others. And it was probably one of those opportunities that I didn't realize how important it was going to be for me to be responsible for other people and their actions. And that was very different for me because I was still, to me, in my 30s, a very young person with 2 young children at the time. And so that's kind of how the promotional process works. And then it becomes lieutenant, but people are still speaking into you. You're still developing and growing, and you learn so much along the way from good people. And your prior guest mentioned also about the right people.
Yes. Well, I mean, you have 1,100 teammates that you are helping lead, as you put it humbly. What do you look for in a leader today?
For me, I look for somebody who has a heart for service, and somebody who has a high emotional intelligence level. You know, we talk about intellect. I want you to be knowledgeable and competent, but I need you to be emotionally solid. And again, I'm just dovetailing off of what was said before. It's so important for people to be able to read and understand people today because there's so much going on. So in leadership, it's about leading people, and we manage things, the processes, the paperwork, the work. But in the kind of public safety environment that we're in today, I need people that can connect to people and really understand what's important about that as we build in them their own leadership.
Yeah, I can only imagine it being such a dangerous job. It's high stress, but in today's environment, there's other issues that we deal with, and I'm wondering. The attitude toward law enforcement has shifted in the last few years. I'm wondering how you manage that, some of those reactions that maybe we didn't have as much just a few years ago.
You know, I've been on a long time, so I've been on 29 years, and so there's been a lot of shifts over the years. So it's an ebb and flow when you've been on for a long time. In the environment today, I think it's really important, especially in my role and what I try to speak into to our whole staff, is having a balance. And to me, it's really important to remember that we are supposed to be the scales of justice in the sense of being fair and equitable. We can have our own personal opinions and thoughts, but when we come to work to serve people. Right? Because it's about humanity. So when we understand there's certain segments of population that may not be happy with law enforcement, but we got to remember that we're about service and going out and doing our job every day. And so internally to my folks, I try to keep them encouraged because there's a large segment of the population that appreciates and knows how hard it is to don the uniform every day and go out and do the work they do. So I try to find the balance in both of those for my people, as well as understanding the needs of the community and how do we meet those.
Well, without a doubt, I think most of America appreciates law enforcement. Unless you're pulling us over and giving us a ticket, we don't appreciate you that much at that stage. But
you'd be surprised how many thank yous we get.
Really, I actually have. I won't call them friends. They're sort of acquaintances that I see at Starbucks on my way into work, and you know, I occasionally give them a little bit of a thank you. I've never got around to buying them a coffee yet, but I think business owners, I think, represent a group of people that truly appreciate what law enforcement does for us. It allows us the freedom to chase our dreams, but I have to imagine, as a law enforcement officer, you're dealing with the team underneath you is dealing in the trenches more often, where almost every occasion they come into is either high stress or maybe even very negative. And I'm just wondering, how do cops deal with that stress? How do you cope?
Well, I will tell you, everybody's answer is going to be different, right? So you've asked me to give you a general, kind of a broad overview of what I think. And, you know, one of the things that's helpful, it's probably several phases. One is the training that we provide to our folks that are out there in the trenches every day so that they're coming into contact with these different things. It gives them confidence to be able to do their job, to do it effectively. And Also, we have for us, employee services. It's called employee assistance. So if there's things that are really affecting our employees after a traumatic incident or something of that nature, they can get services for them, for their family. And so I think a combination of, like I said, just the training that prepares them when they go out, and to provide them resources that come from our organization that say, we're here to support you. And we have a peer support program as well, covers many different topics for people. We have people in our organization are like people out there everywhere else in any other industry. They have issues with, maybe divorce, or they may have issues with finances. They could have issues with a lot of things. So we provide resources for them.
Yeah. Well, we love what you do, and I want to thank you for coming on the show today. I just maybe a final thought, words of wisdom for you're a young woman working her way up the ranks to this very important position in leadership. Just some advice to maybe another young woman that may be in a similar position. What should she be thinking or any of us be thinking as we attack our dream?
I would just say, thinking about it is we are our own worst enemy, no matter what gender we are. And so if we can believe in ourselves and we can have the confidence and go out and have some self-initiative, right? And don't wait for somebody to come tap you on the shoulder. Don't wait for somebody to tell you that you can do it. You have to find that in yourself. And really, when you start on that journey, you'd be amazed what you're going to, uncover.
I love it. Thank you very much, Jonni Fenner, for all you do for the state of California and keeping us safe, but for sharing your story today on the show. And thanks for, I know you through Lauren Fenner, who is your daughter-in-law, so I feel connected. I feel like we are almost family, even though I don't know you very well. I do appreciate her, and so I appreciate that I am almost part of the family now because she and I are so close. Coming up after the break, we will meet the commander of the U.S. Air Force at Beale. He is the Air Force Base Commander. The Colonel Larry Broadwell will be coming up after the break. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, courtesy of Audi Rockland. This is the Haney Biz Project.